It finally happened. Elon Musk has revealed an incredibly cheap home that is affordable for sustainable living. Yet given Elon Musk's status, that appears conflicting with what one might expect from a tycoon. You know what? The man is a totally different person. Even Musk personally lives in a Tesla home that is even cheaper. By the end of this video, you will know if this house is for you or not. Join me today in this video as we explore Elon Musk's new $15,000 Tesla house. Well, Elon's bag has never been empty, in actuality. Before Tesla was successful in making electric cars available for purchase by the general public, they supplied 3,100 roadsters for an approximate price of $109,000. He started a production line at his firm in San Francisco to build a new model of car. Before we start, first clear your mind with the tiny house movement. There is presently a 100,000 unit shortlisted for the residences because of their popularity. The tiny house movement supports modest small housing. Small houses often range in size from 100 to 400 square feet. The majority of tiny homes are constructed on trucks, so they can be relocated easily. They can be utilized as vacation homes or vacation rentals as a guest house in addition to their common use as permanent residences. Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, is currently considering the possibility of postponing his work on developing electric automobiles by focusing on a recent favorite project. One such initiative that might turn out to be the future breakthrough in the real estate and housing industries is the creation of moderately priced homes. It is just wow, how a human brain could think so big. We are all surprised now that a Tesla is traveling across Australia in a tiny apartment that is entirely run by renewable power. Here are some things to consider if you're thinking about buying a Tesla tiny house. There are some aspects you should be aware of if you're interested in a little casita. First off, there is a 100,000 unit list for the dwellings at the moment. Second, just a few markets can purchase the residences. I know what you're thinking. Why are people interested in these tiny houses? Well, here's the answer. People are attracted to living in tiny homes for a variety of reasons. Some people wish to live smaller, simpler lifestyles. Others are drawn to tiny homes because of their affordable ownership costs and environmental friendliness. And some individuals simply find them to be quite cute and adorable. Moreover, who doesn't want to live in such a safe and eco-friendly house? The tiny house movement has received a lot of support for Elon Musk's buying of a boxable tiny house. That person chose to live simply in a modest place, even though they were highly affluent and could purchase whatever type of home they want. Others may be encouraged to think about doing the same by this. Let's jump to the history of this tiny house of $15,000. In March and April 2014, Tesla reported spending $2.6 billion to Solar City. After that, it unveiled its brand new solar-powered product, the electric wall, leaving the businessman to wonder where he plans to use all these solar panels. Musk created a $50,000 Lone Star in Boca Chica, Texas. So it's not the rich or lavish residence you might imagine from a billionaire on Twitter. The state acknowledged its unexpected action. Business insiders claim that after the Tesla CEO announced publicly that he wanted to simplify his living, he sold all 7 of his California residences in June 2020 and November 2021, netting roughly $128 million. The report states that a profit of around $250 million was made. Their epic fall spending spree came to an end when they sold their $16,000 square foot property in Hillsborough, California, with 7 rooms and bathrooms, as well as a grand ballroom and flexible library shelves for $30 million. A classy cocktail bar was present. You all are thinking what the cost of such a simple electronic and unique foldable box would be, right? Tesla, a well-known company, appears to have some thoughts on affordable housing. It doesn't sound natural, yes, a sustainable home for $15,000, considering how expensive their other product offerings are. The company states that the house has the weight of 2 tons with 6 by 2 by 4 meters in dimensions. Its solar memory is 1 Tesla Powerwall and solar energy for 2 kilowatt-hours photovoltaic system for 6 panels. So how is this mobile house working? The battery system, a rechargeable lithium-ion battery intended to self-consume solar energy and lessen reliance on solar panels, is the key component of this Tesla tiny house. A Tesla mobile workshop and configurator are housed inside the small home. Future Tesla tiny house owners will receive training from it on how to build a solar storage system for energy for their houses. The tiny solar power plant that powers Tesla House provides all of its electricity. That is pretty astonishing. The house also has a configurator that enables you to determine how the apartment can produce clean solar energy using solar cells. The Powerwall stores the energy so that it can be utilized all day and night. A specific Tesla app can be used to manage energy flow and efficiency. Not only this, with no electrical cables or hot holes, the Powerwall is perfect for kids and pets. Up to 10 units can be set next to one another on the floor, and the network can be wall-mounted. The energy system is waterproof no matter where it is mounted. Almost silent operation, much quieter and softer than generators. Stop wondering about what would be inside this tiny house. Here is something you are all eager to hear. Tesla Tiny House has environmentally friendly wood cladding, a complete kitchen including cabinets, a refrigerator, a washer, and a microwave. Yes, there is a window over the sink. A bathroom with a large counter, folding glass barn door, and deep bathtub. 375 square feet of living space with over 9 feet of ceilings, large doors and windows. A Boxable includes heating and air conditioning as well. Isn't this just incredible? Actually, the structure is made to be extremely durable and never break down. Steel, foam, and concrete are essential components, and they are all tough materials. It can withstand hurricane-force winds. There is no drywall or wood, thus there is no water damage or mold. The Boxable is made of non-flammable materials, yet nothing is completely fireproof. Homes that can be folded into shipping containers constructed in factories are basically Boxable homes. Therefore, it's not too difficult to determine what's inside the strange house made of steel, foam, and concrete. Years of development were required before they could decide which materials wouldn't damage the walls. Due to the laminated sheet construction of the floors and roof, they may be moved on public roads. Yes, the Tesla houses are also Boxable homes. Shipping and packaging are included in the cost. Other features must be paid for separately. Drainage, electricity, and air conditioning are already installed and connected to the house. This little house only has one story. By fusing more modules with the living area, you can add more. The home has a studio layout and is completely equipped. A home has a small carbon footprint, which is measured in carbon dioxide equivalent and represents all greenhouse gas or GHG emissions. From an individual, event, organization, service, or product, you can place your house wherever you like in this fashion. The CEO of Boxable is Paolo Tiramani. The business announced in a YouTube video that it has just built a casita home in Boca Chica for a well-known and top-secret client in November 2021. Although no one was mentioned in the film, Boca Chica was a rather peaceful and quiet location prior to Elon Musk and SpaceX establishing a presence there. So it didn't take long for anyone to realize that Elon Musk's Boxable casita in Boca Chica had been delivered. The founder of Boxable, Galliano Tiramani, claims that there are a variety of reasons why house building has not yet operated in production. Thus, we have investigated and fixed all the issues. He also thinks that the difficulties with shipping logistics are shared by other producers of prefab homes. The goal is that this will be directed at additional housing units, which are rising in popularity in California. Boxable made the decision to create the company in 2017 as a result of this spark. It aspires to industrialize building construction around the world into a production line. Similar to any other object you can produce, a house would be built, brought to your site, and set up within an hour. While some activities during unboxing require heavy apparatus, most of the unboxing could be done by humans. When the outside wall is opened, the other side walls can be seen and the outer wall transforms into the floor. The entire building is covered once the roof is opened. A tiny apartment in a package for 1 or 2 people. It has been engineered to be both energy and environmentally friendly. Your regular energy bills will be as low as possible thanks to the use of the low energy innovation, to guarantee that the dwellings Boxable constructed were made of elements that would not decay. The company spent years prototyping. The fact that even Elon Musk wished to live there shows how great the home architecture is. Musk is currently residing in a 37 square meter studio. His home was built to be boxed. It is a new construction company that specializes in residential units that are simple to install. A mobile home costs $15,000 to purchase. The cost of landscaping, permits, and other utility connections are not included in this sum. Musk has the resources to finish the specifics of his plans and advance modular housing. Musk no longer owns lavish ships and mansions worth millions of dollars. In contrast to the majority of the world's billionaires, he has wanted to live this way for a long time. It appears that Musk has no regrets about his choice. When asked about a small house in Texas, he posted his response. We are all aware that Musk's decision to halt Bitcoin transactions for Tesla vehicles is motivated by his concern for the environment. Since he considers sustainability as one of Tesla's guiding principles, his desire to reside in a little home is understandable. Casita Galiano Tiramani, the startup company's chief of business development, and their primary product, Home, are based outside of Los Angeles. Alternatives to Boxable claim to have invested years in development and research. The Tesla CEO is happy that he found a way to quickly construct high-quality, inexpensive housing. In fact, the firm already has 2 of these residences close to the Starbase region. Despite its diminutive size and low cost, Tesla headquarters is not inexpensive in terms of quality. The sidewalls, floors, and roofs of the units are functionally laminated with panels composed of steel and EPS foam, which will not distort and last a lifetime. Boxable Tesla houses assert that their modest residence is incredibly energy efficient. The implementation of LED lighting and technology promotes resident comfort while conserving resources. These houses are robust, snow-resistant in 90% of North America, and retrofittable to suit the other 10%. Compared to traditional homes, tiny houses typically consume less energy and have smaller footprints, which is better for the environment. According to the manufacturer, they are far more durable than the typical building composed of magnesium oxide wallboard. These environmentally friendly materials for mold and mildew resistance, as well as fire resistance, are made to withstand extreme weather conditions like hurricanes. First, it is already known that Musk desires to visit and settle Mars. As per Inc. magazine, he is trying out the Boxable tiny house as the foundation for a home on Mars. Even the barren environment surrounding the SpaceX facility has a Mars-like quality to it. Second, you might believe that Musk is simply upgrading minimalism. However, that way of existence is essential for surviving on another world. I suppose things kind of drag you down, he added. Actually, Elon Musk's drastic downsizing into a tiny residence isn't just a curiosity. He's trying out his dream existence. Although Musk exposed one that didn't even lament the small box house, which is now functioning as the Tesla CEO's principal house. It is excellent to have a tiny boxable casita on such a land. They have departed from this modular mega mansion. What do you think about Musk's new $15,000 home?
Natural electricity is going to be extremely high.
Are you optimistic about the global economy or pessimistic?
Pessimistic.
The official policy of China is that Taiwan should be integrated. One does not need to read between the lines. One can simply read the lines. Even assuming the sort of current economy, economic usage, electricity per capita being constant, you're looking at roughly a tripling of electricity demand.
If you say, like, there's really only one thing that matters from an environmental standpoint for carbon, which is that we are taking billions, eventually trillions of tons of carbon from very deep under the earth and transferring it to the atmosphere and oceans. That's actually really all that matters, is taking vast amounts of carbon from underground where it's buried and moving it into the atmosphere by burning it. And if you do that for long enough, eventually you will get to climate change. The Chinese economy and the rest of the global economy are like conjoined twins. It would be like trying to separate conjoined twins. That's the severity of the situation. I'm simply saying that that is their policy, and I think you should take their word seriously.
We've had a government, I'm talking about the US now, that in 2000 we had an $8 trillion deficit. And today we have a $33 trillion deficit. So the deficit's grown by more than $1 trillion each year over the last 23 years. That is highly inflationary. The balance sheet of the Federal Reserve is highly inflationary. And so all these different measures are much more structural, much more difficult. So as a result of that, interest rates are going to remain higher. Opportunities for investors are going to be able to be very patient. You could do nothing and enjoy a positive return.
In anything that is a product or a service where there's not artificial scarcity created, such as like, I want to live exactly in neighborhood houses. It's like, okay, well, there's only 100 houses there, so that would still have scarcity. or a unique artwork would have scarcity. But anything that does not have scarcity that we deliberately designed to be scarce will be plentiful for everyone. If you just do the rough back-of-the-envelope math, you need to roughly triple electricity to get to a fully electric economy. Roughly a third of power is electric, and then these are very rough numbers. Roughly a third is spent in transportation of various kinds with fossil fuels or hydrocarbons, and then roughly a third is heating.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but every economist in the world now is now saying it's a soft landing, and it looks like we've avoided a recession, which all leads me to believe we are absolutely headed for a recession. It's going to happen, I think, in the first half of next year, and it's two primary drivers. There's a lot of little ones, but there's a bunch of little ones. Student loan repayments are about to begin again, which puts a drag on people. Debt. The interest rates acceleration here, 525 basis point acceleration in interest rates really hasn't been felt in the economy. And every month, more and more people have to refinance their house and wake up to a mortgage rate that's mortgage interest payment that's 40% higher than it was.
There's fundamentally an issue that's coming to a head with Taiwan, and it's unclear when exactly push will come to shove, but it seems that there's a good chance push will come to shove. It's trending in that direction. I dread to think what they would happen. The results would be for the global economy would be absolutely catastrophic. But China has been very clear about its goals on China and including Taiwan as part of China. So one does not need to read between the lines. One can simply read the lines. They're very clear.
You have a political, you have a monetary, you have a conflict type of environment. At the same time, you have the greatest inventiveness. We talk about this fabulous technology development that has so much potential to produce wonderful things, and then also it could be a problem. So if you take the time horizon, the monetary policies that we're going to see and so on will have greater effects on the world. And you look at the world gaps, so it's difficult to be optimistic on that.
Well, there's even more that comes out of China. So China does so much of the world's heavy lifting on manufacturing, especially if the manufacturing is, simply hard work and say not particularly glamorous. China just does an immense amount of hard work that most people have no idea how much hard work they do.
If effectively a recession is kind of you roll the dice and a 6 comes up, it's a recession for 12 or 24 months. And some people would argue a recession is healthy. We've been rolling the die 15 times and it's never come up 6. We're just due. And it looks as if a lot of different things are going to potentially dampen the economy, and that we'll have 2 quarters straight of negative GDP growth, and then the other things.
China and the rest of the world being conjoined twins from an economic standpoint will mean that the separation is going to be dire indeed. That happens. I hope it does not happen. And there's no easy solution here. But if there's any path to a diplomatic solution, we should really take that seriously.
But the other stuff, it's anecdotal. I was at this conference yesterday, the Nordic Business Forum. I was just speaking to a lot of different businesses, and you can tell things are starting to feel a little wobbly. And even weird stuff. I travel a lot. For the first time, I'm starting to see these crazy prices start to come down. So it just feels to me like the economy is starting to grind a little bit and starting to slow down. And I think when we wake up in 6 months and another 10 or 20% of households have had to refinance their mortgage at much higher rates.
But it is a tremendous amount of hard work, as everyone here knows, to actually put that generation in place and then transport it to where it gets used, and then dealing with the peaks and then taking advantage of the valleys of power production.
And then all these, it strikes me we are due, and I would bet it's first half of next year. But you know what? The great thing about recessions is they always happen and the great thing about them is that they always end.
So are you expecting a hard landing or a soft landing in the United States, or you just can't project?
We will not see a hard or a soft landing in 2024. The amount of fiscal stimulus that is just entering the economy, which is very inflationary. The CHIPS Act, the IRA, and the Infrastructure Act, about $970 billion. The largest peacetime, non-pandemic moment of fiscal stimulus. At the same time, our central bank is trying to arrest the economy.
And there was a recession, and he got fed up and turned it back to the bank. You could move in and buy it for at a great rate. The bottom line is catastrophe or economic strain, not even catastrophe, is a rebalancing of power from the old to the young. And we've decided that if 1.2 million people die, that would be bad, i.e. the pandemic. But if the NASDAQ went down, that would be tragic. So we're going to spend trillions of dollars propping up boomers and capital.
Well, there's fundamentally three pillars to a sustainable energy future. One is sustainable energy generation, which is solar, wind, hydro. I'm actually, a fan of nuclear. Basically, any electricity where you can say, okay, this is not going to meaningfully change the chemistry of the climate and oceans, the atmospheric oceans. And so, so you've got sustainable electricity generation on one side, then you've got stationary batteries as the second pillar, which is needed for any kind of intermittent electricity production. And by its nature, solar and wind are intermittent. So batteries and solar and wind go together extremely well. And then the third pillar is electric transport. Even if you take all the steam engines and everything and divide that by total number of humans, power usage per human, thermal, electrical, otherwise, was minuscule 200 years ago, and even less 300 years ago. Now it is incredibly high, and it is rising. And this is, and you're going to see, I think, a lot of electricity usage by the sort of neural net data centers as well. Those are heavy power draws. In fact, I think one of the scaling constraints for AI is going to be power availability. They are quite power hungry. So you've got basically average energy usage per person increasing dramatically, and a transition from burning hydrocarbons to things that are more sustainable. Anyway, the point is it's going to be 3x current, and I think that 3x number is probably happens around 2045-ish. So this is the thing about exponential growth is it really is counterintuitive. We've actually gotten very good support in China. Tesla has the only fully foreign-owned car factory in China, and we do very well in the domestic market in China. And our Shanghai factory is our highest performing factory globally. So it's a very impressive team that Tesla has in China, and the work ethic there is incredible. We are entering a phase where the U.S. will not be the biggest economy in the world, and there's nobody alive today who can remember when the United States was not the biggest economy in the world. So it's going to be a little probably discomforting at first to a lot of people to have China be probably 2 or 3 times the size of the U.S. economy. China is actually, of any large country, the most forward-leaning with sustainable energy. So they have massive solar projects, wind projects, and have done the most with respect to electric vehicles of any large country. Of smaller countries, Norway is the leader, but for any very large economy, China is by far the most forward-leaning for sustainability. Well, I mean, the aspiration with these various things is to maximize the probability that the future is good for civilization. So it's the future is just a set of probabilities. Like, we don't know, for sure what's going to happen.
I think as long as American consumers hang tough and continue to do their part, continue to spend, I think the American economy will continue to move forward. And all the factors that you consider when considering consumer spending look pretty good. Lots of jobs. You mentioned the 4% sub 4% unemployment rate. Wage growth is now stronger than the rate of inflation because of the throttling back of inflation.
I speak as someone who is very much an environmentalist. I believe in building a sustainable future for the world. I think that there are very few people who, as an individual, who have done more than I have to help the environment with electric cars and solar and batteries to create a sustainable energy future, because we absolutely need a sustainable energy future. But there is an aspect of the environmental movement that I think has gone too far.
Really, said from you?
Yes. So, said from me, I think I am objectively one of the world's leading environmentalists in terms of doing things.
I would say so.
Like, I'm an environmentalist who does things. I'm of action, not talk. I act. So I feel I can say, as an environmentalist, that the environmentalist movement has gone too far. And in that, in the natural extension of the environmentalist movement, if you go too far, you start to look at humanity as a bad thing. You start to look at humanity as though we are a plague on the surface of the earth, as though humanity is a bad thing. And in fact, there are some people who think and say explicitly that, in fact, there was on the front page of the New York Times, there was a guy who said, there are 8 billion people on Earth, it would be better if there were none, which is crazy. Now, I think the climate change alarm is somewhat overblown in the short term. It's still a concern in the long term, but I think it's exaggerated in the short term.
Great.
Now, I have to try to thread the needle here between what is pragmatic and what is sensible, what really matters and what doesn't matter. What really matters is that over the long term, over the course of the next several decades, that we gradually reduce how many millions and billions of tons of carbon that we move from underground and to the atmosphere, because we're running sort of a climate experiment that is dangerous. But I also don't think that I think of it as a fundamental civilizational risk. It's not going to destroy life on Earth, it's not going to destroy humanity, but it will create hardship if you change the climate over many decades. So I think my message is I think much more pragmatic and I think correct and sensible. And I don't think we should demonize oil and gas. I think we should say, look, that is obviously necessary in the short term and the medium term too, and it'll take several decades to become sustainable. So I think if we just, without getting too worried about it, seek to have a sustainable energy future gradually, then that's what will happen. And so, but I think that some of the environmentalist movement is part of what is causing people to lose hope in the future. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we should have hope in the future. We should be excited about the future, and we should build the future we want.